gentlemen, there is no mistake. Buzz that smell. It's the Caiman Show again. At the Caiman Show on Twitter, CaimanShow69 at gmail.com, hashtag the Caiman Show. Here we go. I bid thee welcome. So, today we are talking Wrestlemania 6. Title versus title. 65,000 in attendance at the Toronto Sky Dome. And what a match it was. April 1st, 1990, the immortal Hulk Hogan versus the Ultimate Warrior. But with me at this time is a former colleague of mine, a former trainee of mine, and someone who got one up on me at one point. I'll just say one word, Rosalind. We'll say no more. Anyway, without any further ado, we're going to have a little chat today, a little laid-back discussion about WrestleMania 6 and the title versus title main event between Hogan and the Warrior. And we want to know, did the right person win? Was the torch passed to the right guy? Could there have been another outcome? So without any further ado, allow me to introduce you to my friend, and now yours, Mr. Stevie C. Welcome aboard, sir. You all right?
Thank you very much, Mr. Caiman. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you, sir. I'm very good. Did you like the Rosalind pun there as well?
Yeah, we won't go into that too much, shall we?
we'll keep that between us. Maybe for another time when people have moved on from certain places in their life, maybe, yeah? All good. How are you keeping?
I'm okay, actually, yeah. I've been pretty good. Funny enough, you just mentioning our training sessions, I started to get a bit of PTSD. My neck's hurting already.
Fantastic. They were good days, man. They were good days.
They were good days.
Yeah, what was that hall that smelt the damp that we used to hire out? Where was it?
It was somewhere in the valleys, and it looked like it was like a rejected set from Big Trouble in Little China, if I remember right.
Yeah, something like that, I believe. Yeah, it was eventful anyway, and I've still got some some little Easter eggs, which maybe I'll share unless the price is right. Little promo sessions for yourself, if you remember those, yeah?
I do.
The gimmick I think we came up with was that you were a singer on The Voice, a failed auditionee on The Voice, and you had it in for Tom Jones, and we had to cut in some promos out on Sir Tom, but we kept them to ourselves, and like I say, if the price is right, I'll continue to do just that.
Okay, yeah, we'll discuss that afterwards, I think, yeah.
yeah, another story for another time off the air, perhaps. So here we are anyway. You're the first ever live guest on the Caiman Show, so we're pretty much making this shizzle up as we go along, so, don't feel too freaked out or anything. There's no right or wrong here. We're just going to have a little natter and see where we head. But we're talking WrestleMania 6. You being a massive wrestling fan as well. In fact, I think you told me earlier on you had a birthday present recently. What was the birthday present you received?
Oh, it was the WWE cookbook.
Fantastic. Would you recommend it? Have you rustled up any recipes out there yet?
I've tried my hand at a bit of flan bala.
Fantastic. Oh, fantastic. Excellent. Anything else we need to look out for in said cookbook, or?
A bit of breakfast with some degeneration eggs.
Degeneration eggs? Oh, God. Oh, dear me.
It goes very well with the prawn Michaels, from what I can gather.
Prawn Michaels, this is fantastic. I don't know if this just gets better or worse, but he's got his WWE cookbook. That's fantastic. So that's obviously available from your usual outlets. But yeah, shall we jump in? And start the convo. Let's start talking about Hogan v Warrior. What's your thoughts? We've got some tweets to share as well. Shall we go through them first, or do you want to get into it first?
No, come on, let's hear from other people.
Okay, so we put it out on Twitter. Obviously, the Twitter handle for this is at the Caiman Show. Yep, hashtag the Caiman Show, or you can email CaimanShow69 at gmail.com. So, a couple of tweets we got. We got one first. We asked, title versus title, Hogan versus Warrior. Did the right man win? That's how it started. And then we interjected a subtopic of, could anyone else have been involved? So we've got one tweet from Eric Wilde. Short and sweet, this one. Hulk Hogan should have won. Zero substance to his tweet. Just Hulk Hogan should have won. Anything to say on that one at all?
Well, but in many ways, if Hulk Hogan had won, then we would never have got Suburban Commando.
Oh, that's true, yeah. Which brings me on to another tweet. This one is from a gentleman I know, a gentleman by the name of Darren Tigos. And he says, in relation to the question, Darren Tigos.
Sounds like some kind of car stripping material.
Well, yeah, it does, doesn't it? Yeah, T-cut, yeah. But this is Tigos, Darren Tigos, yeah. He says, in relation to obviously the same question, the same topic at hand, did the right person win? He says, Warrior was the right pick. Hogan was away to film Suburban Commando at the time. He'd been running on the top since 1984, so at the time, thinking Hogan was leaving for Hollywood, it made sense to go with a number 2 guy. Unfortunately, he wasn't the draw that Hogan was. Thoughts?
Oh, that's true. I mean, at the end of the day, love him or hate him, you can't deny the draw Hogan was for that time. Well, I'm pretty sure Bret Hart would deny it, but we'll not get into that now.
Yeah, well, you can get into it if you want to, by all means.
Maybe we'll save that one for the WrestleMania that does feature Bret and Hogan.
Okay, we'll go for that. That's fine. We'll hold on to that one. We'll sit on that one, that little nest egg, for another day. But I don't know. I think Warrior was quite a big draw, to be honest with you. I think he was awesome. I personally, as a fan, obviously I've heard a lot from behind the scenes since the internet has come to light and everything, and everyone knows everything about the wrestling business now. Everyone's suddenly an expert because of the internet. But I was always a massive Warrior fan. I always thought he outshone Hulk Hogan. He was, I'm not taking anything away from the big dude, but Warrior was younger, he was fresher, he had a great look, he looked really marketable, the way he just matched up with everything, the bright colours, the face paint, the hair. Granted, in the ring, he was probably not the greatest, but back then, you didn't have to do 100 high spots to get a pop. It was a lot simpler. And I do think there's a cliche in wrestling which is called the Warrior Pop. When you go out through that curtain and you get the crowd erupting, he had the Warrior Pop, and that, like it or hate it, comes from the Ultimate Warrior, in my opinion.
Oh, I mean, the guy definitely had a momentum behind him that I think was definitely needed at the time. And I do agree with you with the whole idea of this being a spot fest. It's kind of a controversial opinion. I'm not a huge spot fest person. I can appreciate it. But, I do watch a lot of wrestling these days, mainly with my wife and friends who are probably not as into the technical side of it as myself. And giving them a much an emotional back and forth match to cheer behind will go over much more than any kind of spot fest any day. I know among a lot of the fan community that's a bit of a controversial yes, but I think it's true. I would show a new person wrestling the Hogan Warrior match any day over something like a lot more technical that something like AEW might put out now. I respect that, at the end of the day. I watch it at a different level. But I think if you're going to show a new fan a match, then you can't go wrong with something like the Warrior Hogan for all.
Yeah, definitely. Something with a bit of, what's the word I'm looking for? Psychology to it, rather than just, good old-fashioned gymnastics and a couple of bumps,
Exactly, yeah. I mean, it's the storytelling.
Not that I'm taking away from that. Yeah, storytelling, that's ultimately what it's all about. And that's basically what wrestling is. They say it themselves. Triple H has said it himself. Vince McMahon has said it himself. Telling stories with your body, which is basically, in a nutshell, to me anyway, what wrestling is.
Or as I sold it to my friends when we had our first WrestleMania party, it's like really violent theatre.
Absolutely, yeah. Oh, talking of theatre, tell me about that script reading thing that you went to in Cardiff before. Tell us about that briefly. That interests me, that story.
Oh, the Star Wars one.
Yeah, just give us a bit of that. Go on, let me hear it. Go on, just tell us the story. Yeah.
Right, any friend?
Obviously, you're not with me, so I can't hand you the mic. But this is me handing you the mic through the medium of whatever it is we're doing here, all right? So here you go, take it away.
Okay, well, any friends who are probably listening to this later are going to get their own form of PTSD from this, I think. So a couple of years back, in our local art centre, I saw an advert an alternative reading of Star Wars. Thought that sounds fun. Me and most of my friends are nerds, and you don't even have to be a nerd to like Star Wars. I think everyone does in some way, don't they? So
absolutely, I do.
So I thought, okay, this is probably like some theatre troupe doing some kind of parody or some comedy rendition or anything like that. Yeah, this could be quite fun. So idiot here decided to rope, I'd say a good 8 to 10 of his friends in to come and see this. And got them all to shell over $5.
That was the price on the door.
Yeah. So when we arrived, my suspicions were first aroused by the fact that it was just a dark room with a table on it.
Fantastic! I'm already sold.
I honestly thought we were going to they were going to do a séance and try and contact Alec Guinness or something. To be honest, my suspicions were further aroused when the lady taking the tickets just casually mentioned, "Oh yeah, it's an open reading, so that means you can leave whenever you want."
Okay, you're right. Fantastic.
So my brain's going, "You've seen this, haven't you?"
Red for stuff.
Yeah. So my brain's going, "You've seen this, haven't you, love?" So what we essentially got was a group of 6 people, maybe, around the table, just reading the script of Star Wars in a dark room. I want to emphasize this now.
No expense spared.
And I want to emphasize this, that I don't mean voice acting reading. I mean, like, just reading it.
And that cost you guys £5 a piece?
Dude, it was... there's so much I could tell about it. You've not really experienced Star Wars until you've heard Obi-Wan Kenobi with a Swansea accent.
Can I ask how many people are in attendance for this? Was it a sold out capacity?
Before, during, or after?
Let's go from the start, just as it kicked off.
There was a lot of people there. By the end, I think there was 4 of us.
Fantastic. Is that just your gathering?
Look, right. Not only was it they left as well. They went to the pub across the road. It was just, I'm just one of those people that was like, this is absolute crap. I paid for it, so I'm going to watch it.
Yeah, I'm going to get my £5.
Yeah. At one point, even Han Solo had enough and sodded off to the bar.
Really? What, he just walked?
Yeah, he came back with a couple of pints then.
Fantastic.
I guess he was embracing the rogue character very much.
Standard, yeah. Either that or he just had a tip.
So I went and joined them in the pub afterwards and took great on them that I'd already booked us all tickets for the Empire Strikes Back reading next week.
Was it actually an Empire Strikes Back?
Oh, God, no.
Oh, crikey. That would have been disastrous.
Yeah,
good Lord. Yeah, fantastic. Man, it sounds like a fantastic night out. I've had many a wild night out myself. None that quite tie in hand with that one. So, fair play. Kudos.
I was the most hated man.
And kudos to yourself for sitting through it all as well.
I paid for it, Cayman. I paid for it, and I'm going to sit through it.
Fantastic. All right, let's get back to the topic at hand anyway. So you watched the match again?
I did. I hadn't actually seen it in about 10 or 20 years.
Yeah, it's on as we speak in front of me now at a very low volume. Warrior's currently in a rest hold.
Oh, there's a lot of rest holds in this match.
There's a lot of rest holds in Warrior matches where he doesn't do the Goldberg gimmick, you know?
But to be fair, I do think this actually carries it off.
As a standard match?
With rest holds, they normally are the death of a match. They kill the momentum.
Yeah.
I don't know whether it's the build-up or the way the two guys kind of sell it. But I think this one, it does work. Now and again, a heavy wrestle match can work. And I think this is a good example of it, to be honest.
Hulk Hogan did say, though, at one point, right, he had Warrior in one rest hold, and Warrior was saying, come on, let's go home. And Hogan was like, what? You got to be kidding me. No chance. Because Warrior was super gassed out. He gassed himself out on the way to the ring. He'd run down there like a one-man riot, run to the ring, run round the ring, shake the hell out of every rope. And, the lactic acid in his body must have been out of this world before he even locked up with him.
Yeah, I mean...
Yeah, so the wrestled, we were obviously talking about the wrestled, and Hogan's take on the wrestled was that Warrior wanted to, well, head backstage and get out of the match. He wanted to wrap it up damned early, apparently. So were you aware of that?
No, it wasn't actually. I mean, I know obviously Warrior has a reputation for very short matches. I mean, that was his whole. Ironically, I mean, that was what kind of got him the momentum, wasn't it? I mean, he just do squash matches for so long.
That's it. Well, as we've mentioned, by the time he got to the ring, he was out of there, wasn't he? You know, he'd run around everywhere. The lactic acid would be flowing through his body, and he'd be gassed out, to point a phrase. So, you know, Hogan was rather partial to a wrestle himself as well.
He was, yeah. Like I said, the one I would think about previously is the Hogan Andre one at Mania 3, where I think like 90% of that he's in a rest hold.
Ah, yes. Wrestlemania 3. That's right. That's the one. Yeah. It was pretty much based around a bear hug, as we've previously discussed, you know, and he hung on in there and eventually got a slam. But back to the match at hand. Let's talk about it. So we've asked, all right? We asked. Obviously, Hogan had been on top for years, as we discussed. He was filming, or had been filming, Suburban Commando, and he was going to be the next big Hollywood star, or so we thought at the time. Obviously, it didn't work out that way entirely. Warrior was...
Hey, you're talking to one of the few men in the world who owns a copy of No Holds Barred on Blu-ray, mate.
Hey, I'll check you out. You were right with that geek label you put on yourself earlier, bro. But yeah, Warrior was obviously the number 2 babyface in the company at the time. The torch was passed. So obviously, all right, Hogan was going to drop the belt. We've established that. Then Hogan was going to drop the belt. Hogan had to drop the title. Hogan had to pass the torch. But next question then, is there someone else from that period, from that era, that could have took the ball and run with it?
Oh, yeah.
You reckon? Yeah. Yeah?
Oh, Savage. But, yeah, I mean, Savage was one of my all-time faves from that era. I mean, even when he was a heel, you know?
I loved him as a heel. I thought he was fantastic as a heel. I loved the Macho King character, you know?
Yeah.
It was amazing. It was intense. It was just like, oh, you bastard, you know? It was fantastic. But yeah, you think that could have been a replacement for the Warrior? You think that would have been better? I think what they were trying to do something new as well, weren't they? And make someone new, perhaps, you know?
Yeah, they were. Funnily enough, I mean, obviously it's very different now, and back then you could only have a babyface win WrestleMania and be champion. But do you know, if they'd have been okay with doing a torch pass to a heel and maybe then turning face, who I think would have been perfect?
Like a transitional champion, yeah?
Yeah, or even perhaps doing a face turn mid-reign. And like I said, and when I say that person would be perfect, I mean in 2 ways. Well, like I said, it would have been Mr. Perfect.
Yeah, got the pun, yeah.
Sorry.
But, Mr. Perfect, do you know what? He should have been champion. He would have been a great champion, I think. He was fantastic. He was a great talker. He was a great heel. He was a fantastic bumper. He was a great technical worker.
Yeah, I mean, the guy was ahead of his time.
Definitely. Why he didn't get there, I don't know. But
I think it was a case that heels just didn't get the same kind of pushback in those days, you know?
No, they didn't. They never had the title for long. It was just a transitional pass, like I said, you know?
Yeah. One thing to the match itself, one thing that really hit me going back to it after all this time is, regardless of what people think of Hogan and all this kind of about him, or personal thing now, or his shortcomings in the ring, man, when that guy's music hits, the roof just blows off every time.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And you know what? Regardless of what I think of him, I don't dislike Hogan, but I was never a massive Hulkamaniac, should we say, all right? I was always for the underdogs more than anything. Like, you know, I was always a British Bulldog fan. I was always like an Owen Hart fan later on then, you know? So I was always looking for someone to come up and get on that level. Texas Tornado, I was just like, yes, fantastic. Kerry Von Erich. But I was never a massive Hogan fan. However, that said, if I was in an arena or stadium or whatever, and then our music hit, I'd be a part of that crowd erupting, guaranteed. Even now, being I call myself an insider because I've done a bit between them ropes.
Mm-hmm.
But even now, I'd be down with the pop, definitely, 100%.
Yeah, there's just something that kind of awakens as new and some kind of like almost nostalgic twin when those first chords of Real American hit.
Totally.
And I think that WWE know that too. That's the main reason I think they roll them out at some WrestleManias. It's not the man itself.
Yeah,
it's just...
definitely. It's not going anywhere, is it? It's not going anywhere. It's fantastic. It is the Hogan pop. It is the biggest pop, even bigger than the Warrior pop, I'd say. It's a beast. Love him or hate him, he's one of a kind. No one has. I say no one has even come close. Austin, Rock. I don't think they were quite there though, in terms of the Hogan pop, etc.
Yeah, I think I was going to say I think the Austin glass break is probably the closest thing that.
Yeah, definitely. I prefer that myself, but that's just me. I only prefer it because I'm of the mentality. No offense to my current boss, but who wouldn't want to punch out their boss? That was Austin, and just the Austin character, just taking matters into his hand is another level, another story, another day.
Yeah.
But yeah, a couple more tweets in as well we've had, right?
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, question being Hogan versus Warrior, did the right person win? We got 1 year from Leighton Ball, a massive Warrior fan. I know him. Okay. Again, short and sweet, 100% yes. The right person won. Massive Warrior fan. It was always going to be the right person for him,
Okay.
Again, as I again echo that statement. I was very happy then as a fan. Everyone saying, "Oh no, but Warrior did this backstage. Warrior did that backstage."
You just didn't care back then, did you?
No, well, you don't. Say for example, I don't know, Joan Collins, right diva, all right. She gets a monster push in Dynasty. Do you remember Dynasty? Yeah?
Yeah, just about.
She gets a monster push in Dynasty as I don't know, the top heel. Everyone's saying then, oh, she's a right diva backstage. No one cares what she's doing backstage or on the set. As long as she learns her lines and, plays the character correctly when the cameras are rolling. That's what it's all about. To me, that's how it should be in wrestling. You haven't really got fans anymore. You've got smart marks, people analysing and studying everything and reading all these, well, not even dirt sheets anymore. They're just reading all this backstage info and gossip from their little computers and everything, which is great. And as a fan back then, I would have loved that. But that's what takes away from the modern day wrestling fan, I think. There's too much inside information. Nothing is really sacred anymore,
Yeah, there is a certain kind of not allowing you to get rid of that sense of disbelief or anything. But that's a shame, isn't it?
It is a shame. It is a shame because that's the magic of wrestling. And it's the same when I started doing wrestling. I kind of stopped watching it when I started doing it because the magic had gone, and he'd be watching it and he'd be like, all right, yeah, I know, I can do that, yeah, oh, I can do that too, oh yeah, I can do that too.
Oh, and it's, dude, from the stuff you told me, that was my favourite thing, was watching wrestling with friends afterwards going, yep, I can do that.
Was it? Yeah. See, it depends on your mind, I suppose, doesn't it? But for me, it was like, because I was a part of it, I was doing it like every weekend for a while.
Yeah, it was more work.
It's just like, it was the magic. Getting involved in it kind of took some of the magic away from me, that's all.
Yeah, I mean, it was the same kind of thing, because obviously I'm a filmmaker as well. When I first started doing that, you start to watch a movie, and then once you've learned the way different angles are shot and different kind of coverage things, your brain kind of switches to that when you're watching it.
I'm with you, yeah. That's it, yeah, totally relate to that. Exactly the same with wrestling. It's just like, I watched it rather than as a fan, I'd be watching it as a student more.
Yeah, exactly.
To say, all right, I know how to do that. Oh, I don't know how to do that. Hang on, rewind that bit. Right, he does that. Oh, cool, I'll take that away. And that, to me, spoiled the matches then,
Yeah. I mean, I would imagine that's how a lot of people, when they go into the pro wrestling side of things, start doing it, though, just from...
Yeah. Well, that's it, yeah. I mean, I started doing that before there were any wrestling schools around, just not that I'm endorsing it. I'd start grabbing a bunch of guys off the street, going into a field and just practicing what we watched on a Sunday afternoon on WCW Worldwide, you know. But like I said, I wouldn't recommend it because there's plenty of training schools now, and there's no reason not to get trained by someone decent.
Yeah, just to be safe, yeah.
There's also plenty of crap training schools out there at the moment as well. With the head trainers being people who shouldn't even be wrestlers at the moment. But again, that's another story.
Careful, we don't want any lawsuits.
Yeah. Oh, no, I don't name, I don't shame, nothing like that.
It's funny you should mention about like just doing that kind of stuff in fields and the playground. Rewatching this, I remember around this time, the amount of kids who would think Hogan's famous Hulk up moment would actually work in a real fight.
Yeah. How'd that end?
Oh, they're the shite bean out of them.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. It was worth a go, and that reminds me of one time in school. There was this guy in school with me, I won't name him, but he put me in a sleeper.
Right.
And it was around the time of WrestleMania 8. Bret Hart versus Roddy Piper. Do you remember the finish of this match?
I can't say I do off the top of my head.
Well, Piper had him in a sleeper. I'm sure Bret used the same finish against Austin as well at one point, right? Mm-hmm. Sleeper hold was applied. Bret went into the corner, kicked his feet up on the corner pads, rolled backwards, and then there's a pinning combination. I tried that off a desk when this guy had me in a sleeper, and he just ended up, as I went to try back, he just threw me, and I landed on my head and neck, and I was in a whole world of pain. And there was all the other classmates sat around watching. And then all the girls were feeling sorry for me. And I was dying to cry, and it didn't work. So, I can relate to your Hulk up story there. Your Bret Hart reverse the sleeper thing don't work in a real fight either, guys, all right? So if you take a note that one.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Another tweet as well. We'll read it. This will be the last tweet for now, unless anyone else jumps in. Blanchard, I think they needed a new champ. But was it the right pick? So was he the right pick? We haven't answered that really yet, have we? Was he the right pick at that time? That's the ultimate question. That's the burning question. Was the Ultimate Warrior the right pick?
The ultimate question of the ultimate challenge.
Yes or no?
Yes, at the time I think he probably was, because I mean the guy had the momentum behind him. There was no way they were going to go heel champion at that point. He's the only logical choice, wasn't he? To be honest.
Yeah, I think so. And like I said, I always was a fan of the Warrior. Say what you will about him. He was intense, he was believable, and his music was freaking awesome.
And his promos were the stuff of legend.
Oh, they were indeed, they were. I've tried deciphering a few of them, and they're tough sometimes, you know. They're good to watch, they draw you in, but if you want to know what the dude was on about, it's a tough.
I've noted.
We did ask as well.
I've noted down here the Warriors promos, particularly the WrestleMania one, was what I think I termed a glorious cocktail of steroids, cocaine, and madness.
Well, apparently he wasn't into the street drugs like street drugs like cocaine, etc. He was, just into his lifting gear and whatnot.
Okay.
You know?
I would assume that nearly all the locker room was coked out of their brains in this period.
Well, yeah, it looks that way, doesn't it, as well, if you go back with a fine-tooth comb. But we did give the opportunity for Hulk Hogan to comment on this topic earlier on as well. We also gave the opportunity for Dana Warrior to comment on this topic as well, but they've both declined. So that's they're scared, basically. They're scared to get involved in the abyss of the unknown. That's what
I don't think there's much Hogan scared to get involved with, as recent events have shown.
No, I was joking, mate. I was joking. But yeah. But Warrior then, obviously, he went on then. Champion for... It wasn't a great deal of time.
No,
he didn't even... I think it was WrestleMania, and then was it Royal Rumble?
Yeah, Slaughter beat him, didn't he?
Wasn't
that one with Slaughter beat him?
That's right. What's your thoughts on that?
I'm really baffled about why his run was so short, to be honest. I mean, do you think it was just Hogan wanted to come back, or do you think...
Hogan came back, yeah, that's what... Well, who had the title?
Okay.
Sergeant Slaughter had it for a heartbeat, didn't he? Literally. And then Hogan, back on Hogan then. Was it the next WrestleMania?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was the
WrestleMania stuff?
Yeah, the Iraq War themed one, for one of a better word.
That's right. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
But what's your opinion? Why do you think that they kept Warrior's reign so short? Do you think it was him, or was purely Hogan wanted his toy back?
I think Hogan wanted it back. That's all. Hogan went. And as you know, as has been stated earlier on, was going to be the next Hollywood star. That didn't turn out quite as he planned. You know, don't get me wrong, Suburban Commando was a great film, mainly because it was the first time I heard The Undertaker speak, and I thought, oh, he's
God, I forgot he was in that, yes.
Yeah. Where'd he go? So, what did he say? You're a dead man, reality. That's something I want it. That's it, yeah. But, yeah, I think Hogan then, it didn't go as planned, so he was like, right, Vince, I'm coming back. Vince was like, okay, we'll put the belt on you. And then there were chants at the Royal Rumble as well, if you watch it. Obviously, I think WWE Network dub over it, but there's clips on YouTube and everything. If you watch the match between Warrior and Sergeant Slaughter, when Savage interferes, and he whacks him with a scepter, you can hear the chants of bullshit and everything as well.
Really?
Did you ever pick
No, I never noticed that, to be honest.
Check it out. Yeah, they are there. It was pointed out on Twitter the other day. In fact, I believe it was Darren T. Goss that pointed it out the other day on Twitter. So, yeah. But yeah, no, I just think Hogan came back. Warriors Parade was pretty much rained on, pissed on, if you will, then. It was like, right, you're dropping it to Slaughter. Slaughter basically took it and passed it straight back to Hogan, and then Hulkamania was back on top then, and Warrior was shortly out the door then.
Yeah, I mean, even in rewatching this match again, one thing I was interested about, I'm surprised how quick it finishes as well. Because obviously Hogan does his Hellcat, misses the atomic leg drop, and then Warrior just slashes and pins him. But it's also the fact that despite this being Warrior's kind of crowning moment, so much of the footage and even the commentary is still on Hogan as he's leaving.
Yeah, big time. It is. And I noticed the pop at the start. I was listening to the pops at the start. I noticed, even though I was more for Warrior myself, but Hogan's pop the crowd was definitely more for Hogan when he came out. I think
it's probably the most reluctant putting over of a guy ever, possibly in this match.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and then
somewhere even Shawn Michaels is shaking his head, saying that's bad form.
Yeah, what the heck? But Hogan had his revenge, then, didn't he? Several years later at WCW.
We have to do that one as a sequel, man. Oh,
we will do it as a sequel, but by God, it was just like, from what I make of it, it was a case of Hogan just couldn't let go of the fact that the Warrior beat him at WrestleMania 6. Even though, guys, spoiler alert, that was, part of the script sort of thing. Not that we have scripts in wrestling. That was just how it was penned out, He was there to put the Warrior over on this occasion, but he had to get one up on him. That's all it was from my take on it. All it was right, I've got to put the infamous April 1st, 1990 in front of 65,000 people at the Toronto Skydome incident to bed. And he did that then in a horrific match in Halloween Havoc. I forget, I haven't got notes now, we've just sort of led into this one. But yeah, a horrific match in towards the later stages of WCW at Halloween Havoc, and it was, to point a phrase, the absolute drizzling.
Culminating in Hogan setting himself on fire unintentionally.
Yeah, fantastic. Every cloud has a silver lining.
Yeah.
Oh,
that was it. There's definitely that was just his ego stroking. He did the same as well with my favorite 80s wrestler, the Hot Rod, because they brought him back into WCW just so Hogan could. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, just as a bit of fodder. Right? I gotta put this right, brother. I gotta take him out. I gotta chalk up a win, brother. And that's what he do. Yeah, basically chalk up his victory and put it to bed as if it never happened. But it wasn't quite the same, was it? On either.
No, Well, that's the problem of creative control, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. That's it. People get carried away with their own egos. And when you give someone like that creative control, it's the recipe.
There's a little thing in the kind of like the indie film industry where whenever you see the credit written, directed, and starring by, you know this is going to be a car crash.
That's it. Absolutely, yeah. It's going to be their show, basically. No one else gets a look in. It's just going to be a show of them walking all over people.
Well, I think that was most of Hogan's WCW run, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'd say so, pretty much, yeah, in a nutshell. Yeah.
Going back to the match in hand.
Fantastic. Oh, there was some fantastic...
I was saying, going back to the match in hand, there's a couple of good things I did take away from it. One was, like we said...
The double clothesline.
Oh, that's iconic, yeah. And how well booked it actually is done, actually, considering.
It was good. It was good. It was nice and it worked, and it was just like, that was a nice piece of storytelling.
And for all of Hogan's kind of like the whiniest leaving in history, that shot of Warrior with both belts as the fireworks go off is still iconic.
It is. It's fantastic. I was looking at pictures a bit earlier on, actually, because I was looking for some for the Twitter feed, and it's fantastic. It is. It's great. Who else can we talk about in future, mate? Anyway, have you got anyone in mind? Obviously, we decided now. So we have decided here, first of all, that the right man did win. Yeah, have we on that? The right man did win, and he was probably the right person to pass it to.
Yeah, the torch was rightfully passed, and then unfortunately fizzled out rather quickly afterwards.
Indeed it did. Sadly so, I think. Sadly so. Because I was a young, well, I say young kid. I was an old kid at the time. I was about 11 at the time, I think. So, but a kid nonetheless. And, I really bought into Warrior. And when I first started watching wrestling, it was just after WrestleMania 6. I think the first event I saw was SummerSlam 1990. It was a Warrior versus Ravishing Rick Rude in a steel cage main event. And I was like, wow, this Warrior guy is great. Actually, it was a double main event. It was Hogan versus Earthquake as well. But yeah, it was fantastic. And I really bought into the Warrior then. And then following SummerSlam then, I think it was Survivor Series was the next one. And that's when he and Hogan ended up teaming up in the
that was where they started really pushing Slaughter as the heel as well, wasn't it, if I remember right? Yeah.
That's it, yeah. And then came, obviously, the Royal Rumble after. I think they only had a handful of pay-per-views back then, before WCW came in and started doing one a month, and then they had to match that. But yeah, went on to Royal Rumble then, and then they just, bang, Warrior was gone. It was like, oh, right, okay. That was a very short-lived title match. Putting all that work in, because obviously as a fan I backtracked then. I bought the video of WrestleMania 6 and I caught up on filling in the blanks and everything. It was like, all right, they put all that work in. Even as a kid then I'd be like, right, hang on, what's happened? Why is he letting them get away with this? Back when you believe everything, why is he letting them get away with this? Why doesn't he go back after him and get it? Why doesn't he face Slaughter instead? But knowing now,
the backstage stuff,
and what we didn't know then, the backstage stuff and everything, and the Hulk Hogan stuff, it wasn't meant to be, I guess. Wrong place, wrong time. Right place, right time for a heartbeat, but a heartbeat it was, unfortunately.
Yeah, it does make you wonder how things would have been different if they'd kept him around.
Things would have been different if Hogan had become the next Arnold Schwarzenegger or the current, like The Rock is right now, if his Hollywood career would have taken off. You never know. Warrior could, God rest his soul, still be with us now. Still be with us. He could still be the WWE champion right now. No. Okay.
Hey, you joke. I wouldn't put it past Vince to try and put it on Hogan one last time.
No, neither would I. No, not at all. And I wouldn't put it past Hogan to try and put it on Vince to put it on him one last time either.
Oh, speaking of Vince.
One last time, Vince. One last time.
Speaking of Vince, there's one thing I noticed. I did actually watch a good chunk of the pay-per-view, not the match itself. There's two things I noted. Number one, God, I love the old WrestleMania theme tune. Oh,
fantastic.
And
what I used to go on. You go first. I'll hold my thought a second.
And Vince basically narrating the openings to these WrestleManias. Have you seen his opening to this one? He's talking about the stars and gods and all this.
He's brilliant. He's great. He sprinkled a load of passion on it, didn't he? And he really.
I put a note on here. I want to read an audiobook of Game of Thrones read by Vince McMahon.
Oh, wouldn't that be sweet? That'd be amazing. No, I'd like to hear read by Vince McMahon. Oh, would that have gone down? Would that have kept the audience in?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think the main question would be, why the hell is Vince McMahon sat in an arts theatre in Cardiff reading stuff?
Hey, man, wrestling never. Yeah, it could be scripted in the storyline. Also, talking to Vince, the Royal Rumble opening.
Oh, when he would...
And he's just calling, the Barbarian! Hercules! Do. Fantastic. It just got you buzzing. The Rumbles, and it'd be like that then, but the end of it, oh, come on, I really want the Rumble. And then if you had it on tape, before DVD for our younger viewers there, if you had it on tape, you just forward then to the Royal Rumble, because Vince just got your heart pounding. It was amazing. Good times. Great times. I miss that whatever's missing. Do you know what I mean? What is it? What's missing? That passion is missing now.
Yeah, I guess.
I do.
Interesting question for you, just going slightly off. Well, still on topic, but slight deviation. Do you find it strange without the nostalgia factor going back to some of the old wrestling events? Because, like I said, I've got my wife and a couple of friends who really enjoy the modern stuff. But then when you want to go back and watch a classic one, like let's say Rumble 92, one where Ric Flair wins, absolute stone cold classic. Yeah,
I know the one. Best Rumble ever, absolute best.
You think that? I think that. But for new people coming to it, they just find it dull.
Yeah, well, they don't know anyone. We sort of grew up with them people. We grew up with them superstars. We grew up with them wrestlers. And to them now, it's just a bunch of people from like 20, 30 years ago that they've never heard of, you know? So,
I'll just say a really kind of weird, going back to my nerdiness kind of analogy I always make, is my wife seems to have the same relationship with new and old wrestling as she does with Doctor Who. Now, here's a weird kind of analogy.
All right, yeah. I kind of get where you're going already, yeah. Go on, there's like the new generation.
Exactly, and she absolutely loves the new stuff. She's watched it all, the whole kind of like Chris Eccleston up to what's her Jodie Whittaker now. And she's...
Yeah, but she's not much of a...
Exactly, when I'll say, well, if you like that, we'll go back and we'll watch an old Tom Baker one or a Sylvester McCoy one. And I'm sitting there and I'm just like thinking, I need to turn this off. She's bored crapless by this.
Yeah, that's a good analogy, man. That works. Yeah, it is. In fact, it's a perfect analogy. It's a lot of people are like that, isn't it? It's like they're either the new era or the golden era, or the attitude era, or whatever,
dude, I'm not showing her the attitude era. I want to stay married and not make her think I like that stuff.
Yeah, that's it. HLA.
Oh, God.
Remember that? HLA. What did that stand for?
Hot lesbian action, I believe.
That's right, yeah. Best you don't show up here.
Well, I think a good chunk of it will be me going, this is great. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, fantastic. I did love the Attitude Era, though. I'm somewhere between the Golden Era and the Attitude Era as my favourite, Probably the Golden Era for all the magic, and then the Attitude Era for the I don't give a shit about anything kind of mentality about it. Let's just do this. Smash, smash, smash. It was fantastic. It's when Austin was born. You had like Foley and the Taker. That big brawl was kind of on on the start of the Attitude Era. That's where Mr. McMahon was born as well, with the Montreal Screwjob, which, by the way, I'm not convinced wasn't the one.
Controversial.
Another day. But yeah, interesting. We've got to talk another time about our good friend Ed Leslie as well. We've got to talk about him sometime, all right?
We will
do that for.
Do you want to give a slight trailer though, and just do you want to explain you and I's complicated relationship with the legend that is Ed Leslie? No.
You go.
Well,
over to you.
I'll give you the lead in because I'm probably might have some friends who listen to this and have no clue who Ed Leslie.
Okay, go on.
Who probably have no clue who Ed Leslie actually is. To be fair, I think
go on.
People these days have no clue who Ed Leslie is.
I know you know who he is, and I'm sure a few people listening will know who Ed Leslie is as well.
Well, I'll give the lead. You can probably fill in the details, but
okay.
So if anyone listening doesn't know that back in our colleague days, Caiman and I's friendship was formed in a very cold, lonely office at the head of the band. The kind of place where I first went after I thought I was going to end up inside a freaking Wicker Man. Our friendship was kind of like started of our mutual love of wrestling, and then my mistake to decide rather than getting fit by hiring a normal personal trainer in the gym, I'd spend several weeks of you just throwing me around the equally cold.
Can I just clarify? I didn't just throw you around. I taught you to bump and showed you how to do something.
Yeah.
To take on. You had to learn how to take on.
No, that's true. Like I said, I mean, I did have to try and hide this fact from my wife for a while and explain why my normal cardio training session was resulting in me popping ibuprofen like they were freaking Tic Tacs. And I had to physically roll myself out of bed in the morning.
Oh, fantastic. Class. I never asked you how you got that around to how you got around your way of thinking about that. So
No.
Oh, did she?
And then when I told her, it was fine. She just happened to be on the phone call for her sister, and there was a kind of like, he's wrestling now. But yeah, I could hear my young nephew in the background go, "What, like John Cena?" Yes, just like John Cena. Hey, I think I probably. Hey, after those weeks, I think you told me. I think I probably know more moves than him now.
Probably, yeah. Hey. A couple more, yeah. I don't think it's that you knew more. I think you were doing.
Hey, I got to be quite.
But go on, back to the story of that.
Well, like I said, so for anyone who doesn't know who Ed Leslie is, he is probably better known to the world as Brutus the Barber Beefcake. But what you and I had many a chuckle over was that was not all Ed was known as, was it?
Oh, yes.
So, in your obviously, you're the pro here. In your time, I mean, how many gimmicks do you think, for being the character a professional wrestler plays, how many would somebody have in their time? I'm thinking, maybe one when they start off, one when they find their feet, then maybe one more when they reinvent themselves?
Yeah, perhaps. Depends. Obviously, I know the answer to this one anyway.
Well, here we go. How many did Ed Leslie have?
I think
18 gimmicks.
18.
Well, we'll save that one for the podcast.
Right, you are. Okay, yeah, we'll save that one. We'll do one specifically on Ed Leslie.
Yeah, do you want to have a quick follow-up on any stories we had of our conversations or dealings on Twitter, maybe, Carl, with Ed?
Well, I know where you're going, yeah. Ed Leslie was on Twitter. He was doing some fundraising.
I think it was for a back operation or something like that.
Yeah, for a back operation. And I saw that he was doing that, and then I tagged in our friend Stevie C. I said, yeah, good luck with the fundraising. I was speaking to my friend Stevie C, massive fan. He'll be making a donation, a substantial donation to your cause shortly. And then...
Yeah, but yeah, I know you like it. He freaking bugged me about it for
Did he get back to you?
That was another one, difficult one, having, dinner with the wife, nice romantic evening, date night. Oh, sorry, honey, my phone's buzzing. It's just Brutus the bloody barber beefcake wanting to where his $5,000 is. Yeah, I think something like that. Oh
God! And that's what.
Oh yeah, that's totally yeah. Wild, isn't it? I'm still expecting him to show up on my doorstep one day.
Yeah, I didn't tell him where you live, and I didn't give him your number. You did ask.
Him and the surviving members of the Dungeon of Doom on my doorstep.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, fantastic. We're not to mention them today. We'll talk about them again. Fantastic. Oh, brilliant. Guys and gals.
Yeah, it's been great, man. It has.
Yeah, it's been good to have a chat, mate. It's been good to have a chat. I don't know how it'll sound back to everybody, but I got a laugh anyway. So fantastic. Always good to talk.
Always. So which one are we doing next then?
Well, we'll have a look. We'll have a chat. We'll figure it out, and then we'll post it on Twitter on the Caiman Show. So yeah, top man. All right, well, keep in touch, and I know you will. And when we're able to, perhaps we'll get together in person and do one as well. I think it'll be a lot more fun as well. Not that this wasn't fun, but it will. I could prank you, custard pie you, all sorts on as well. It'd be great. And after Rosalind.
We'll call it even for the time you drop kicked me in the head.
That was in training.
Yeah, you too.
Anyway, bro, you take care, right? I'm going to wrap up. So, Hogan versus Warrior, WrestleMania 6. Did the right person win? We think he did. But the debate goes on. At The Caiman Show on Twitter, CaimanShow69@gmail.com, hashtag The Caiman Show. We'll see you.
Goodbye.
It's goodbye from Stevie C, and it's goodbye from Caiman G. Bye-bye. Ciao.